general nerdery.
Spider-Ham, Spider-Ham, Spider-Ham justified this entire damn movie. Do the Simpsons still hold up? Sort of, I guess. We'll talk about it. Look out, we're the generals of nerdery. Bam, bam, bam.
Oh, fuck. You chose something that I couldn't follow up. Simpsons did it with.
I was so...
I mean, they did do it, but it doesn't work as well.
I tried all day to fit words to the Simpsons theme song, and instead I just had the Spider-Ham from the, credits of the Simpsons movie, the, operatic version, stuck in my head. So I just loved the Spider-Ham part so much.
Spider-Ham is so good. Spider-Ham justifies this movie's existence in a big way.
It was 10 years before anyone else found out about Peter Parker other than, the weird nerds like me. So, there's now 2 Spider-Hams. Anyways, hey guys, welcome to General Nerdery. We're your generals of nerdery. I'm Zach.
And I'm Tyler.
And this is your podcast about liking things. Specifically, and some of you may have caught this, the Simpsons movie in this case. Or at least The Simpsons, and I use The Simpsons movie, and I don't remember, you were talking about watching some other episodes. Did you do that too? Or...
I did not give myself enough time. I was going to watch Marge versus the Monorail and a couple others, but didn't get there.
Yeah, neither did I. I was wanting to, and I just didn't. I did not. Cece and I have talked about watching one episode from every season. But that's 31 seasons, and I definitely did not have time to do that.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
But before we dive into everything, and there's all sorts of things to talk about today, what have you been ingesting?
Let's see. Not a lot this week. They did drop the Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath DLC. So I did go through the new story add-on, which we'll talk about way more in depth later at some point, but it was cool.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
And I finished off this season of The Flash, and I'll probably finish Supergirl or Legends of Tomorrow tonight. But
nice.
This season was really good.
The Flash, you said?
Yeah.
Wow, you never like how they end the season.
They did a good job of stretching out a story and finding plausible ways to keep people depowered, and it was just overall a really good season. I'm really looking forward to the next one.
I've always liked The Flash, but as we've talked about, they've never really been able to maintain the momentum throughout the entire season, which is hilarious for a show about a guy who's all about momentum. Mm-hmm. So maybe they should just go to shorter seasons. I think we've talked about this before on here.
Well, and the other thing they did with this season is they found a good way to use multiple bad guys to keep the season going and find
that's good.
Story reasons why you focus on this one for these, 7 episodes, and then switch over and have to focus on this one and stuff like that. So,
well, and it sounds like they finally figured out something interesting to do with Iris, which thank God, because they're not very good at that.
Yeah, and all that is still ongoing and left on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Well, they did have to finish their season 4 episodes early, so...
Oof. Yeah, it's something else. So, yeah, I was really happy with it. Like I said, I am super looking forward to next season, actually, so...
Yeah. Let's see, what about me? I read one of the most recent volumes of My Hero Academia, the manga, because I still don't watch the anime, because I realized that the next volume comes out in, a week. And I was like, wait, but I haven't read the last one yet, because it came out, right when the pandemic started, so I wasn't able to go pick it up. It's still really goddamn good. I don't have anything remarkable to say about My Hero Academia, but it continues to be one of the better superhero stories I'm reading, and it's one of the only manga I read at all, so
Nice.
there's that. And now I don't have to wait like 6 months for the next one to come out, because I said it comes out on Saturday.
Yay.
Or last Saturday by the time this episode comes out. And then I did something I haven't done much in a long time, but I did some blind buys at Muse Comics, where I grabbed books that I did not know dick about. Like, because usually I'm like, oh, I've heard really good things about that book, or oh, like the reviews, or blah, 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 blah. I know I like that creator. I picked up a book just because I thought the cover looked interesting.
And what did you pick up?
I picked up Stellar. It is an Image comic book. It was written by Joe Keatonage, who I have actually read some stuff of. He does good work. And illustrated by Brett Blevins. And I didn't find this out till afterwards, but the concept for it was created by Robert Kirkman and Mark Silvestri.
Oh, shit.
Kirkman is the creator of The Walking Dead, is probably the thing he's best known for. I was introduced to him through Invincible. And Mark Silvestri is one of the founders of Image Comics. He created, I think Cyforce was his, or Cyberforce, which is not a great book, but whatever. And I'm pretty sure he was the original artist to create Mr. Sinister.
Oh, okay.
So, like, he has... Even if Cyberforce wasn't a great book, this guy has real chops in the comic book industry.
I just also want to point out, Kirkman's kind of just an entertaining guy anyway. I don't know if you've ever listened to too many interviews with him, or when he's done, like, guest appearances on podcasts and stuff, but dude's quick and funny. Like, he's cool.
I go really back and forth on how much I like Robert Kirkman, but I think he falls under I like him, I don't always like his writing choices. But that's fair. I don't have to like everyone's, like, creative choices. Stellar is an interesting book. It's about a woman that was given kind of like cosmic level superhero powers to stop a war. And then what happens next, and it involves multiple universes and like alternate realities and major time skips. And it's only about, I would guess, about 5 issues long in the original. I mean, as a single... I just collected it as a collected edition, so just one book. And it feels like a concept that they had that would have worked for like a 40-issue comic book series. But they were aware that they weren't going to be able to pull off a 40-issue comic book series. So they just super condensed it down to like 4 or 5 issues. And it works and it doesn't because of that. The idea is really interesting. This, like, what happens after, you know, the cosmic superhero and these... the hero and villain that can't die, and, as I said, parallel universes and all these weird, fun comic Jim Starlin Thanos concepts. But because it's so condensed, like, there's a character that is clearly big emotional moment to the main character, Stellar, but he exists for, like, 3 pages of the book. So much happens that is not given any emotional time to land, that it's a really interesting theory, but it's not, I don't know, there's no emotional impact. It's a short story when I want it to be a novel, or a novel series.
Gotcha.
Which is, I mean, it's interesting. I'm going to lend it to a few of my friends. I recommend it as a reading book, but it is a recommendation with a caveat.
Gotcha.
Oh, and I also started a new Star Trek audiobook, and it's pretty good, because it uses an entirely original, like, starship. It's not on the Enterprise or Voyager or anything. They can, like... So they don't have to be like, oh, we have to, like, be true to what Michael Dorn and Patrick Stewart did.
Oh, so what's this ship, then?
The Prometheus.
Okay.
Which does appear in an episode of Voyager, but you never meet its crew, because it's been stolen by Romulans.
Does it hang out with a less advanced ship called the Bob?
No, but it should.
A caveman ship?
Yes. But the one thing that does bother me is the guy who reads the audiobook clearly did no homework on how to pronounce anything.
Oh.
So everything is just a little wrong. And that's fine. Like, I get you might not... You read audiobooks. That doesn't mean you're a big Star Trek fan. But, like, the Romulan secret police that come in this, their name is the Tal Shiar. He calls them the Tal Shiar. Or Kales is the like Klingon like Jesus, and he calls him Kalos. Kalis. And it's not a big deal, but it happens on just enough words that I'm like, come on, man, like, just talk to one person before you recorded this. Like,
That's funny.
And other than that, he's a great narrator. He just, every time he mispronounces a, like, big Star Trek concept, it pulls me out of the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I mispronounce everything. I doubt I've gotten a name right once in this entire podcast.
Hey, I probably screw them up, too. I was going to say rely on me, I get them right, but I don't know I get them right. I try.
I still don't know how to pronounce the Dune guy we were talking about last week. Villeneuve?
Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. See? I've said it 4 different times
Denis
in the last
Villeneuve.
20 seconds. Perfect. Okay. How are we feeling on news today?
So what order do we want to go in the news?
I'm going to bring this up first. We are recording this on June 1st of 2020. We are on day, I think, 4 of protests of the death of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And the news is fucking terrible. And I'm glued to it. And it is really hard to talk about other things while this is happening. And I wear my politics on my sleeve. You guys all know that I'm a raging hippie. But we generally don't go too much into politics on stuff. But I was literally debating today, is it appropriate to do this silly podcast today? Is it appropriate to talk about The Simpsons while literally the country around us is burning? And I kind of decided that it was important to do it still. And we have the advantage of where we live is very removed from everything. We live in bumfuck nowhere, Montana.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel right talking about the news without talking about the news. And one of the, like, founding concepts of this podcast is that representation matters. Is that diversity is important. And that people deserve to be seen and heard. So, I don't know. Without diving too much into it, I wanted to take a moment to be like, we acknowledge what is happening around us while we're doing this silly fucking thing.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that we get to do this silly fucking thing. And, institutionalized racism is a thing. And we're not ignoring that. And we've talked so many times about doing an episode about representation in art versus the artist, and we keep kind of getting overwhelmed by how unqualified we are to talk about that one.
Yeah, I was going to say that was, as far as ingesting goes, I have also been pretty much glued to the news all weekend.
I am resisting checking the news while we record. Like, I have checked it like every 10 minutes.
And so I almost kind of also want to apologize in case this isn't the best prepared I've ever been for an episode, but that's where my Marge vs. the Monorail time went to. But
yeah,
I think if it's going to go to anywhere, it's keeping abreast of the things that are happening right now is some way that I can use my time that could end up being better than not, especially with all the bullshit that's going on.
It's important that we maintain a semblance of our real life, that we get to do stuff like this. That, as I mentioned last week, I am getting married on Saturday. By the time this episode comes out, I will have been married.
Yay!
But it's all... Yeah, I know, thank you.
Congratulations!
I can think about 2 things in life right now. I can think about getting married, and I can think about the world is literally on fire around me. And the complicated combination of those 2 things. But while it's important to do that, it was important to me to not ignore everything else that's going on around us at the same time.
I agree. And yeah. And yeah, we're not ignoring it by doing this. We need to feel happy too.
Yeah, that's Jesus Christ. It's been a long day, and it's gonna be a long day tomorrow. But we're all doing the best we can. I guess that's it. That's all I got.
All right. So now, how about some nerd news?
Please, for the love of God.
Okay, I'll start with the shitty one. The High Republic books have been pushed back to January of 2021.
I saw that. I'm super bummed about that because I was looking up, I had listened to... That's the thing I forgot to do in my What If I Ingesting. I did a Star Wars audiobook, too.
Oh.
And I was looking for more, and they had all the High Republic books on Audible, and I was like, fuck, are those out? Yeah! And they're not. And so they were just, staring at me.
Yep, it was supposed to be August, now early January, and we'll just keep up with that as it continues to progress.
Yep, I get why, I super get it, but Cece and I are wearing stuff based off Jedi clothes for our wedding, just to really drive home the nerd, guys. And I'll have pictures. I'm gonna be a rainbow Jedi. I look fucking fabulous.
Yay!
But I was like, oh man, fuck, that would be so perfect to listen to High Republic stuff while I am making Jedi clothes. And I was denied. And I would have been denied anyways, but still, I'm really excited about the High Republic.
Yeah.
And take the time to do what you need to do it right. That's fine. Also, global pandemic. But that's a bummer.
Coming straight off of our episode last week when we were talking about Big Finish changing up the way they're doing things over on the Doctor Who audiobooks, one of the new series they're doing, of the new 12 series, is going to be called Out of Time. It's going to feature team-ups between the Doctors, with the first team-up being 4 and 10.
Okay, that's... Everything about that is perfect.
Versus the Daleks.
That's fine. Daleks are a good classic. Just a good classic. They're not who I would generally pick for the team-up episodes, but I have no complaints about that either. My only concern on this one is this is not one that I want them just pumping out episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Because the team-up episodes... be it audiobooks or comic books or obviously the TV show, need to feel special to me. It should never feel like just a thing when different versions of the Doctors meet up.
Yeah, that's not something that can just normally happen, so it needs to feel suitably weighted.
It needs to be an experience.
Mm-hmm.
It does make me think of... This is a rumor, and I wish it was true, and I don't know if it is or not. So, Matt Smith's final episodes, one of the last ones, was the 50th anniversary, where he performed with John Hurt and David Tennant.
Yes.
The big crossover one. Great episode. And Tennant and Smith clearly loved working together.
Ooh, so more Tennant-Smith team up?
The rumor is... Smith approached Moffat about the idea of a whole season where half the season was Tennant episodes, half the season was Smith episodes, and then in the finale it would be those two teaming up together again.
Oh.
And that didn't happen. And Smith left the series instead. And I don't know if it was just would have been too much work or too much money because Tennant was a much bigger name by that point, or if Smith didn't have time, or they just didn't want to overdo the crossover things because they had just done Day of the Doctor. But I would have loved that season so fucking much.
And so now you're thinking maybe we could get a version of it in audio?
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. Smith and Tennant were so good together. The bits
Absolutely.
where they argued, the bits where they were doing stuff like identically. Because when Smith first started being the Doctor, everyone's like, he's just a rip-off David Tennant, but he wasn't. But he did take enough bits of Tennant's performance that it still felt very Doctor-y. Oh, I love Doctor Who so much. I already was like, what Doctor Who episode should we do next? I'm like, calm down, boy. We did that last week.
We'll come back around to it before too long.
First Matt Smith episode was my thought, but yeah.
Oh. We probably could have guessed this anyway, but just
Something
in
got
case you
postponed.
were wondering, with all the different DC shows that have been confirmed for HBO Max, Kevin Riley, one of the higher-ups in HBO Max, has confirmed that the production level and funding will be above what we currently see from DC shows.
Big fucking duh.
Like I
Big
said,
duh.
you could probably assume that, but it's also kind of nice to hear that they're not going to be doing Arrowverse level productions on HBO Max.
Yeah, and Arrowverse tends to look good, but they are doing 20-ish episodes, a new episode every week, with limited funding. I was reading an interview with Marina Sirtis, who played Counselor Troy on Star Trek Next Generation, and she was talking about the difference between doing Star Trek Picard, which is 10 episodes with like 10 times the budget per episode, that was streaming, so it could just be done when it, like, they had a way more room to maneuver scheduling and stuff, versus Star Trek The Next Generation, where they had basically a shoestring budget and they had to get a new episode out every week. And just the wild differences in those worlds. And I am betting that the HBO shows are probably not going to be 20-something seasons. Or not seasons, episodes a season.
No.
They'll probably be 10 to 15. Which
At
I'm increasingly
best.
in favor of.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the British way of doing. Actually, British people are like, 15 episodes in a season? That's insane!
Right? And it kind of is. We saw kind of how long some of even those 13-episode seasons over on the Netflix Marvel shows could feel.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to do the one long movie feel. Mm-hmm. The, like, made to binge in one go.
Rather than the
is
older school episodic feel.
13 is a lot in that case. I don't have anything against longer seasons, and I don't have anything against the movie feel, the, like, made for binging feel, but don't understate the value of episodic television either. Like,
Right. It also kind of sounded, though, like the money, the production value might be over what we saw with, like, the DC Universe shows, though, too, which is also kind of nice. Because those definitely had more money in them than, like, the Arrowverse, but...
Yeah, but not a ton more money.
Not a
I mean,
ton
the
more.
only ones I've seen is Titans, and I have opinions on Titans, so... I mean, the costumes were good. It just looked cheesy as all get out.
And
Everything about it was cheesy as all get out.
speaking of Warner Brothers spending money, when we were talking about the Snyder Cut costing an extra $30 million, that's apparently just the start.
How much fucking money are they spending on this movie?
No idea, but Warner Media chairman Bob Greenblatt was actually quoted as saying, "I wish it was just $30 million, and I'll stop there."
They are taking a gamble here.
Yeah, they're taking a big gamble from what it sounds like.
And I am more interested in it the more I find out how much they're gambling. Like, I mean, as we've talked about, I don't hate Snyder, but I don't have any real, like, loyalty or affection for Snyder either. But they are betting that they can fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And if they win, great. It works for us because we get some sweet-ass movies. And we get to prove Mark Miller wrong, which always makes me happy. Mark Miller, creator of Kick-Ass and Kingsman and a bunch of other stuff, has talked about how he doesn't think you can do DC heroes as movies because they're not, quote, cinematic. And people kept telling me that, and I was like, but there have been so many DC movies, guys.
Right?
There's so many of them.
I mean, Superman the movie, if
Yeah.
nothing else, is just
And
like a shining example of how well DC can be done.
And I mean, like, there's also Superman 4 Quest for Peace, but, like, it was the 80s. No one was trying that hard for superhero movies. There was also Dolph Lundgren's Punisher from that era, so it's not like Marvel was proving itself cine-fucking-matic at the time. Sorry, apparently, I'm spicy today. And it works for them, like, not just works for us, it works for them because they get the, money pit growing again. So that's fine. That's great. I did hear Henry Cavill is in negotiations to come back as Superman.
Well, I was actually just about to mention that he has always sort of said that, like, the role of Superman is still his. Like, he still is the one with the cape. Like, that hasn't changed. Just the company's plans might have changed, but it's not like they've announced a new Superman. He is still Superman.
Yeah, and he never really wanted to quit.
No.
Like, he did a little live stream the day that they publicly fucking fired him, and he's like, well, this was a weird day.
But
and I thought Cavill was fine.
Even with him being in talks to resume being Superman, it sounds like he won't be involved in any of the reshoots to create the Snyder Cut.
Oh, okay. That was the part that when I heard they weren't sure if, like, the reports I was reading wasn't sure if it was reshoots to finish the Snyder Cut or if it was a new Superman movie, and I was hoping the second one. Because
it sounds more like the second one.
Great. I enjoyed Henry Cavill as Superman. I just didn't think Man of Steel was a great movie. It had bits.
It had moments, but it was overall just kind of boring.
Yeah. And there was no hope. Like, I remember after Superman Returns, the one where he had a kid.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, we're going to redo Superman in, like, Dark Knight style, because that had just been really big. We're going to have Superman as an angry god. And I'm like, you have clearly never read Superman in your fucking life. So I want hope. And they had moments of it, and the best moments were bits where he was offering hope. Also when he was downing government drones. Yeah. Like, I'll help, but it's on my terms. I loved that scene. Anyways.
Well, the other thing that all the Snyder Cut news has led to is an increased amount of rumors that, especially if it ends up being successful, that we might see the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. Which isn't something... Did we never get
that? For some reason I thought we got that.
No. I think even the extended cut, because I think there is like an extended cut release DVD, but I don't
that's what I'm thinking of.
I don't believe it's the Ayer cut. People don't clamor about that as much, but that one actually exists in a far more complete form than the Snyder cut exists.
Mm-hmm.
David Ayer shot. He was the director for the Suicide Squad. Shot the movie. Had it set up a particular way. Then the Suicide Squad trailer is one of the best trailers to ever be made.
Oh yeah, the Suicide Squad trailer was great. It was just the Suicide Squad movie that went wrong.
It went over so well that Warner had the company that made the trailer recut his footage into a Suicide Squad movie. At which point, after some test screenings, I believe that they then hired their own editors to edit that version, and that's what we got in theaters.
Warner Brothers. Get your dick out of everyone's movies. And just let them make the fucking movies and roll in the money pit.
And as such, Suicide Squad has been pretty critically derided.
Now, Suicide Squad had problems just beyond weird editing choices, apparently, of the, 16 different editors it apparently had.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like, Ayer's not that great of a director in the first place. Like, he also did, what was that movie? The Orc Cops with Will Smith.
Bright.
Bright? Which was,
It's fine until you think about it.
Yeah, that kind of sums up David Ayer. Or at least the movies of his that I've seen.
He's a really good filmmaker. I don't know how much he has a handle on comics or fantasy in general properties. He's also said some other things in interviews about different comic properties where I've been kind of like, is this a guy that really should be handling these properties? But
it's like whoever did the first Hulk movie, the one with Eric Bana as the Hulk, and what was that, Spike Lee?
Oh, no, it was the Ang Lee Hulk movie. Ang Lee's a
Ang
great.
Lee, thank you.
Ang Lee's a
wasn't
great
right.
filmmaker. He's made some amazing movies, but he fucked
But he
that
openly
Hulk way
dislikes
up.
comic books.
Yeah.
If you don't like comic books, don't make a comic book movie. That's not difficult, man. Also, yes, Ang Lee, not Spike Lee. I knew I was wildly wrong, but, like, close at the same time. Sorry, Mr. Lee.
So who knows? That might happen. I would be interested in watching it, just because I know the story of how its editing got fucked to hell. But
Yeah. I am way more interested in the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie.
yeah, same
That I
here.
really want him to get done so he can go make Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like, just both of those things.
While we're talking about a shared universe, the original shared universe, over on the horror side, Ryan Gosling might be our next Wolfman.
Oh, are they still trying to make a Money Pit shared universe for those? Because
I don't know
they've
if
tried twice now.
I don't know if they're still planning on making it a shared universe, but Universal is for sure trying to still make use of its monster properties. That at one point was one of the original shared universes once they got all crossed over by all meeting Abbott and Costello. But
Of all fucking things. Because they tried with, oh god, they made like a Frankenstein movie, I want to say. I don't even remember what that one was.
well, there was the Dracula Unbound.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
which was so bad that they decided that wouldn't be the start, and that the start would be the Mummy instead. And then
Which
they
was
made
so
the
bad.
Mummy, which was so bad that they decided not to make a shared universe. But
Which
then they still
the only
made the
part of
Invisible
that I
Man.
liked was that supposed to be part of it originally?
Well, no, but that's when they were like, well, let's still use... We might not make it a shared universe, but let's still use our monster properties. And then Invisible Man is supposed to be really good. I still haven't watched it, but... so this would be the follow-up.
You know, it would be great to get an Invisible Man that doesn't have Kevin Bacon, like, creepily unzipping someone's shirt while they're sleeping.
I think this one, the Invisible Man, is still a bit of a creeper, but...
Well, I mean, he's still the Invisible Man, like,
Right.
I don't know.
Jury's still out on whether they're ever going to try to make it a shared universe again, but it is, like, old school nerddom. It is the original shared universe, and Ryan Gosling as the Wolfman, I'm down.
That could be interesting. I approve of a universal shared universe, which is a weird turn of phrase, but they really do need to worry about making good movies first and then combining.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Iron Man was a good movie that they did a throwaway line at the end of, being like, oh, maybe people like it, and then it fucking took off, and they're like, oh shit, okay, we have to try. And most of those first movies were good.
Yeah.
Well, about half of those first movies were good, and I had fun at all of them. Incredible Hulk is not a great movie, but otherwise. So worry about making a good movie and toss in a couple of hints here and there, and then combine them together.
Yeah. And you don't... And the other thing is, if there's no natural way to do it, don't feel forced. But...
Also, combine them with Marvel and just do the Creature Commandos. Or is that DC?
I don't know, but I am so down.
I think that's DC. Either way, it's exactly what it sounds like.
I am so down. But since we have talked about it before, Kate Blanchett has signed on to play Lilith in Eli Roth's Borderlands movie.
Huh. I'm so fascinated by this movie. It's going to be the visuals that determine how this works or not.
Yep.
Like, we've talked about before that, you know, the cell shade is part of what makes Borderlands work. But if you still get that feel that, like, post-apocalyptic was still, like, the bright primary colors, it could work.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to work because I love that combination.
How many sirens were there? 7 in the Borderlands universe?
I haven't played in years, so I would not be able to tell you.
I want to say that 7 is right. How many rings did Sauron make for the elves?
Jesus, Kate cannot get away from that.
Just throwing that out there. That's super exciting. She's, of course, no stranger at all to genre. This could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. She's the one that I'm always, like, kind of surprised that she's in a genre film, but she's done enough of them that I shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she seems like, even as she continues to do them, she seems too high class for it, doesn't she?
Exactly. I'm like, what are you doing in Thor Ragnarok? And then I'm like, oh, having the time of your fucking life, clearly.
So that's what that is. It's still going forward. Somehow Eli Roth's Borderlands lands Kate Blanchett.
Oh, that's amazing.
I should have told you to watch this little trailer beforehand, but I think it'll just give you something else to put a smile on your face later today. I'll just tell you that this is going to exist. Did you ever watch
recording in person?
Did you ever watch much like Double Dare or Guts or like Wild and Crazy Kids on Nickelodeon back in the day?
I remember Guts, but I didn't have Nickelodeon as a kid, so...
Or like Legends of the Hidden Temple.
We're talking about Star Wars Jedi Challenge, aren't we? Or Jedi
absolutely.
Temple.
Star Wars Jedi
yeah,
Temple Challenge.
Oh, Ahmed Best. My friend.
Jar Jar Binks is getting to host a game show like the kind I grew up with watching every day when I grew up that is going to be all Star Wars themed. I'm probably not going to watch it because it'll probably be boring as shit to my old man days now, but...
Yeah, I'll watch like an episode or two just for the curiosity of, and also to see Ahmed Best in a Jedi outfit for a movie or show. But I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad that they're willing to do weird shit with the Star Wars license.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy product placement, but it's also kind of fun at the same time. Like, I'm getting married dressed like a Jedi, guys. Obviously, product placement has worked on me.
And how much more would it have worked on you if, with your love of Star Wars growing up, you could have watched a show where kids are getting to compete as young Jedi Padawans, swinging fake lightsabers at balls being suspended in air by air jets?
As we talked about, I bought fake lightsabers last week. I was watching the trailer for this because I'd heard it was coming, and I was curious if the idea had got dropped or something. And I was kind of with you. If I'm like, I don't think this is going to be that exciting for me as an adult, because if I'm going to watch, you know, a obstacle course thing now, I'm going to watch something like American Ninja Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really go hardcore with it. But I would have murdered someone to do that when I was 7.
Absolutely. So many murdered children.
Just gone full Anakin Skywalker on someone.
I was about to say, Star Wars just tends to lead to murdered younglings, doesn't it? Oh, I think it's that damn Jar Jar's influence. Anyway, Jar Jar. That exists. It's going to exist. There's something that just makes my heart super happy to know that that's a thing. So,
all right, yeah, that's great. bring up new generations of Star Wars and bring them up to enjoy it, not to be like weird fan purists.
Mm-hmm. And
also, Ahmed Best just deserves affection, like, at this point. Like, he put up with 20 years of people shitting on his character that literally changed how we do special effects. Not a big Jar Jar fan, but he changed how we do special effects.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, I don't know why I said on that note. That does not relate. Anyways, let's take a quick break, and then let's dive into another staple of fiction with The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
On the big screen.
So, way back in the day, back when The Simpsons first debuted, it was considered extremely countercultural and a blight upon American society, and that it might erode American traditional family ideals. And I can say that it has had, unfortunately, such an effect on me, as because of The Simpsons, I don't have a soul.
Oh, really? Did you sell your soul like that one episode?
After I watched the episode, Bart sells his soul from, I believe, season 7.
It's a classic episode. It's one of the few I remember.
I sold my soul multiple times.
That's okay. I lost mine in a game of cards to Malark when freshman year of high school.
I'm not even entirely positive who has my soul. I think it's Angus. Angus, I know you've listened to a couple episodes. If you're listening to this one, please confirm whether you have my soul or not.
He has your heart.
So that's The Simpsons convinced me as a child to sell my soul for, I believe, chocolate milk.
Oh, perfect. Oh, square deal.
Not chocolate milk, because I wanted to avoid the rat milk.
Oh my god, this is not related to Simpsons, but is related to chocolate milk. The most brilliant story one of my sisters did. My stepsister Kelly and my stepmom, when Kelly was a kid, they were at the grocery store and she goes, "Mom, can we get 3 chocolate milk?" And Patty goes, "No, you can get 1. Wait, no, crap." So she asked for 3, and instead of being like, "No, you can't have chocolate milk," just automatic drop down to 1. It is classic brilliant children.
That's awesome.
But The Simpsons, the reason why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
I picked The Simpsons movie because it's probably The Simpsons I have the most connection with, because it was on when I was a kid, and we would watch it, but it was never like, every week I'm going to sit down and watch The Simpsons. But I had this one on DVD, so I watched this several times. And I was like, this would be a good, all-around thing to do.
That's kind of really interesting, because I have a completely different relationship with The Simpsons.
Yeah, because you were a big Simpsons fan, which is the other reason why I wanted to do this episode.
I was a big early Simpsons fan. As much as this is a podcast about liking things, I do have to say that my first note on this movie is, that's right, this was the last time I cared about The Simpsons.
It's the last time most people cared about The Simpsons, yeah.
And it was a weird, harsh reminder of that. But it was also, it wasn't a bad experience, and we'll get into that.
But I was like, this would be a good, because it's a little longer, so instead of just trying to, discuss The Simpsons as, a 20-minute episode, we have a little more kind of meat to go into. But this is just so chock full of jokes. They have another joke landing, every 30 seconds in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That I was just watching and being like, I have no fucking clue how I'm going to talk about this. Other than the fact that Homer is a piece of shit.
Okay, so that's a good point, first off. So you didn't have much contact with The Simpsons growing up. Do you remember what your first experiences were?
We had a couple episodes recorded, because my mom used to, just record random bits of TV.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Bart loses his soul.
Okay.
And I don't remember what else. And in middle school, which would have been, 2000, 2001 for me, 2002, 2003. So seasons like 12-ish. I went through a phase where I was watching The Simpsons. And it was pretty good back then, but it was, after like The Simpsons heyday already, but before the movie came out. And then I watched this movie not expecting much because no one cared about The Simpsons anymore, and I actually really enjoyed this movie. And then immediately fell out of The Simpsons again, and I've watched like 3 episodes since. So my experience with it is mostly from around when I was like 12 years old.
Okay.
I remember Mr. Plow really well.
Mr. Plow. That's my name.
Yeah.
So, I guess for me, I was just trying to figure it out, try to see if I could figure out like a closer to an exact date. I probably would have saw my first Simpsons episode around 5 or 6 years old while on vacation, seeing my family down in California. I fell in love instantly. I thought it was the funniest thing. And it was like I was 5 or 6, right? So I didn't quite understand how things worked. So I was I don't remember a lot of specific details. What I do remember is being super bummed because I thought that The Simpsons were just something you could watch in San Diego. I didn't realize that, like, while we were down there, I didn't realize that when I got back home that we were going to be able to turn it back on every weekend.
That's some classic
from then
5-year-old
on,
views
right?
there.
So it was also, it also led to a super amazing moment where I kind of, had that first bit of realization, as well as then getting sucked in. Simpsons, let's see, if I was 5 or 6, that would have been, 1992, 1993, which is...
So, like, seasons, like, 4?
Yeah, so, like, seasons 4 or 5 with the height of Simpsons mania.
Yeah, I still associate Bart with Butterfingers a lot.
I got into The Simpsons at the same time that basically the rest of America did. I had The Simpsons Sing the Blues CD. I had...
God, that's such a weird album.
I had a couple of the different video games, especially the NES titles. I didn't have... oh, God, what was it? It was... I didn't have Bart versus the Radioactive Mutants, but I did have Bart versus the World and Bartman Meets Radioactive Man. I remember...
Oh, man, it wasn't until years later, but I forgot about this. I had my buddy had the Simpsons Taxi Driver game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one was fun.
That was a great one. I ran over Mole Man a lot.
Played quite a few of the different ones. It was Simpsons Road Rage.
That's it.
Or Hit and Run? Shit, I can't remember which. Anyway. And then kind of just grew up with The Simpsons. It was just part of my week to catch the new episode every week when it came out. Up until basically this movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2007. You watched it for over 10 years. Cece and I were talking about this she watched it with me, of when did The Simpsons lose relevance? And part of it is just TV kind of grew up without The Simpsons, or like without The Simpsons growing with it, because nothing changes in The Simpsons. By the end of the episode, for the most part, everything's the same as it was at the beginning.
You are just leading into all of my notes. That's a lot more later Simpsons. Or really Simpsons from this time period on.
But, I mean, like, not... Even with that, like, Baby Maggie hasn't grown up in 30 years.
True. There's always a certain amount of status quo that's maintained.
Well, and like, Family Guy came out, and I'm not a Family Guy fan, although there are some funny episodes. that took what The Simpsons was doing and took it a few steps further, edgier, for good or ill. And then, Futurama came out, which took a lot of the stuff that was good about The Simpsons, but added in a lot more character growth. And The Simpsons still feels kind of like, Married with Children, but years and years later.
And that's the problem and the big change that happened. As someone who followed, especially through the early days of The Simpsons, through into the transition period, which is sort of what I would consider the movie to fall into. Some would argue that the transition really started back towards like season 8, which the movie takes place. Oh, what would it be? Like around season...
It came out in 2007, so it would have been around season 18.
Right, season 17, 18. Season 8, I believe, has the highest rated episode of the entire series. And it's also the one where all the ratings for the episodes start to trend pretty dramatically downhill. After season 8, you get a lot of the writing staff starting to fall off that was around in the original episodes. And you sort of have the 3 main producers starting to become a lot more hands-off with the show as they move on to other projects like Futurama. When the show was originally conceived, and as you go through the early episodes, the point of the show and why it was such a big hit was because it wasn't every other sitcom. Grew up watching a lot of TV, and because of growing up in an impoverished area with a basic cable layout that was under like 15 channels for most of my life.
Oh yeah, I had ABC, NBC, and 2 different versions of PBS.
Yeah. I grew up on
WB.
A super steady supply of 70s and 80s sitcoms. And some older, to be honest, but those were always around, and they were a mainstay of my life as I was growing up in the early 90s somehow. And it was, even as a kid, before I could understand what was different, The Simpsons always stood out as being different because of things that now I can point out. It didn't have a laugh track.
Yeah, that's fair.
Almost all 70s, 80s, even early 90s sitcoms were not just included a laugh track, but were written in a way so that the jokes were almost reliant on the laugh track. The Simpsons...
I mean, even shows we've talked about before. I mean, Red Dwarf uses laugh track.
Mm-hmm. The Simpsons didn't have a laugh track, and it very much was aping the perfect family setup that was so prevalent through 80s family sitcoms. Everybody kind of sucked. Homer isn't what he is in the Simpsons movie. Jesus, he's such a fucking asshole from pretty much this time period of The Simpsons on out. He instead is just someone who's just not quite good enough and understands it and is just trying to grab the little bit of enjoyment he can from his everyday life. Rather than being this super amazing dad, he's kind of a shitty dad who is kind of married up and is just smart enough to know it and feel bad about the burden that he places on people. And that pervades a lot more of the early Simpsons than what we get later on, where he truly almost like doesn't care and is stupid just to set up jokes.
Yeah. It's interesting. As I keep comparing it to Married with Children, and it is worlds better than Married with Children, which is so misogynistic in retrospect. But I think Al Bundy and Homer Simpson definitely have some similarities of kind of the bum dad, when we're so used to, sitcoms of the time, to the perfect dad character who just wants to, like, drink a little bit of beer and get through life. But the difference is, and I think what makes Simpsons better than Married with Children is the characters actually like each other.
Yeah.
Where with Married with Children, they all just fucking hate each other, and it's just sad to watch. Like, I do not get why that show was popular. But
also, when we
Simpsons,
mentioned, there's one other thing I wanted to mention about it returning to the status quo. That's also another thing that you see a lot more prevalent as you go into the later seasons, as they kind of start having to do that to have things to set up these jokes time and time again, or what counts as jokes in some of the later episodes. Earlier on, you had a lot more permanent consequences happening from time to time, especially with things like Bleeding Gums Murphy dying, or one of Lisa's favorite teachers moving away after helping her to sort of be able to reassert herself in a really touching
Flanders' wife dying. Mm-hmm. I remember that one being big. I think what it might be is that The Simpsons changed TV. It really changed TV. But then it itself got kind of static while the rest of TV continued to grow up, which makes it feel weirdly archaic now.
Well, and if you look at it, like I said, those early seasons, part of the point was it was aping what people had seen for what was the status quo. Early Simpsons was absolutely 100% counterculture. It was called out in speeches by Bush Sr. for possibly being something that could corrupt ideals. Like, I was not joking about that part, because it was so much different than what was considered to be good and healthy and what was the status quo that was being shown on television the entire time. But then it became literally one of the biggest things in the world. And so once you are the status quo, what do you make fun of?
Huh. That's a real interesting way of looking at this that I never thought about. Cece was talking about a video she'd seen called "When Did the Simpsons Become Irrelevant?" And you just put the nail on the head.
You kind of see this happen with other shows that were very similar to The Simpsons. South Park has had to radically change from what it was in early seasons to be able to keep going the way it has.
Lord knows why it's still going. Anyways, opinions.
And I would say Family Guy even has to an extent too, although Family Guy always relied a little bit harder on the non sequiturs and the absurdist part of it that doesn't require as much cultural relevancy, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even stuff that was always a little bit like tamer and cleaner, but like Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Once it became the biggest show in the world and very status quo, they weren't really sure what to do with themselves. When you win, what do you do next?
Right. And The Simpsons won. Getting to do this movie in some ways is proof that The Simpsons won.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say,
yeah.
as someone who does not have the relationship with The Simpsons that you have, as someone who watched it growing up, who thinks it's funny, and if I were to watch an episode that came out today, I would still probably think it was funny, but I would never, I'm never going to sit down and watch 30 seasons of The Simpsons. I still really enjoyed this movie. For the most part, it holds up 13 years later.
For the most part, I agree. And even if it sounds like I'm super getting down on new Simpsons, I do try to watch some of the new stuff every now and then, and I mostly just find it to be a lot more hit or miss for the most part. There's still definitely things in there that I find funny, and it's still recognizable as being The Simpsons, but I just don't find it to bring as much quality overall.
The magic is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's okay to end a thing.
Yes.
That's really what it is.
I legit would not mind The Simpsons being ended at this point, but...
And I'm not giving crap to the creators or the actors who were like, if you're going to keep paying me, I'm going to keep doing my job. That's a super legitimate thing. especially someone who only works his job because they're paying me.
Right?
But, Futurama ended, and I think part of the reason why it ends up being stronger is because it didn't have time to burn out in the same way, even when it came back.
Anyway, I've talked a lot about Simpsons at general. Like, how about some more about like this movie in general?
I was going to say, how do we want to talk about this movie? Because as I said, this movie, I had forgotten how joke after joke after joke after joke after joke after joke, like, it is just... From the moment the noise starts, there is a new joke every, 15 seconds.
Well, all right. Explaining jokes is never fun, and neither
No.
necessarily is listing them. However, what is fun is what were the ones that did stick out to you in particular.
The first thing that made me directly laugh, other than the scientist guy going on the big screen with The Simpsons, is... I mean, they go straight into The Simpsons intro, and the thing Bart's writing on the chalkboard is, "I will not illegally download this movie." Which was huge in 2007.
Yep.
Like, that's just the thing they account for now. Back then they were like, oh my god, digital pirating. It'll be the end of us. And, as I said, clearly, I adore Spider-Pig. But we'll get to that. I think Bart skateboarding naked to the Krusty Burger or whatever it is, I thought was one of the better joke scenes, and it was very well done. The whole the animation was very good for all of this.
That's one I was going to bring up. I do want to point out that like this is one of the parts where like Homer's just weird, especially when you compare him to older seasons of The Simpsons. That dare is just fucking strange.
Or they implied that the dare right before, where Homer's wandering around with a bunch of bricks on his back while Bart is shooting him with like a pellet gun.
Mm-hmm.
Homer goes, "Why did I suggest this?"
Right.
Like, Homer has gone by this point from the like everyday dad who's not quite as good as he wants to be to just such a bizarre idiot caricature. And I'm not even mad about that necessarily as someone without the Simpsons attachment, but it's weird. And it's kind of become the standard, but like that was new.
Yeah, but also goddamn, like that was such a good dick joke, and for like the 2 minutes of wonderful fucking animated setup of everything hiding it, just to have a bush cut out where all you see is his dick for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, I have seen Bart Simpson's penis, and I don't know how I feel about that. Or he rolls past Ralph Wiggum, who goes, "I like men now." This really showed that it was 2007, and that's part of what was interesting watching this movie to me, of what was funny 13 years ago and what still holds up, and like what shows. And Green Day being the like first big guests, the first big like celebrity guests, was just kind of peak 2007. This is a couple years after American Idiot had come out. This is in the same way that people were like, holy shit, The Simpsons is still kind of relevant. It was like, holy shit, Green Day?
So this is another one of the things where there's a marked difference between older Simpsons and newer Simpsons. Older Simpsons celebrity cameos tended to be a lot more hidden or worked into the plot. Like, if they were appearing as themselves, there was a reason why they were around, and, like, the character tended to be around the entire episode, because, like, the characters, you know, they're supposed to be in town for this event or that event. Either that or they were turned into not playing themselves and were just playing a character in Springfield that showed up. Later Simpsons tends to go, And here's a celebrity cameo. And isn't it funny that Green Day, such known political outspoken activists, want to talk about the environment? We're not going to let them. Haha. And now we're moving on.
It was definitely interesting how much this movie had a hardcore environmental message, which felt edgy in 2007, and these days just feels like, no, seriously, guys, listen to Lisa Simpson here. Like, it kind of was another one where Simpsons felt kind of prescient.
Yeah.
Because these days I think about what we're doing to the environment several times a week, minimum.
Well, and I don't think I caught this. I don't think I caught this all the way the first time I watched it. Now, obviously, the pig shit silo looks like a dick. Which is funny by itself. I didn't realize that that means that Homer fucked the environment until I was watching it and started laughing really hard.
That's okay, I just put it together right now when you said that. Basically, the plot is Homer's a crap dad and they're destroying the environment, and in a combination of the two, between adopting Spider-Pig, Homer wrecks the environment bad enough that Russ Cargill, head of the EPA, who, a super rich man taking over the EPA and going mad with power, it was again, that was like, oh, Simpsons.
EPA!
Oh, I missed when you were satire. Decides to put a dome over the city.
Wait, so how did you laugh really, really hard that building a wall worked on Cletus?
I can't. I can't. No, the part that I laughed on that one, and it was a dumb joke, was when the mobsters went to go toss a body in the lake, and they're like, you can't do that. And I'm like, okay, I'll go put my yard trimmings in a trash compactor. And Wiggum just believes. He's like, oh, okay. Gotta learn to listen. It is interesting how big of a cast The Simpsons has, and how many they managed to fit in this movie somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that TV and a lot of things just kind of adopted, of a lot of the background characters getting their own stories, and not just like one or two of them, but
so many of
dozens of them. Scrubs actively wanted to do The Simpsons, of any time they had a background character, keep them and use them again later. Even Welcome to Night Vale does that. That's a podcast made in now.
I was elected to lead, not to read.
That fucking broke me. A celebrity elected president making world-changing decisions without reading anything, and I was like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, but, like, how much... Like, I would fucking kill for President Schwarzenegger right now.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And considering that I thought he did a bad job as a gun... Never mind, we're gonna not talk about politics. Jesus. Yeah. Just, yeah.
I did find it weird that they used... Like it was President Schwarzenegger, though, because...
Yeah, I was expecting it to be, what's his name? The Schwarzenegger knockoff.
Rainier Wolfcastle. Is that his name?
I have no idea.
I think it's
Rainier
Rainier
Wolfcastle. They used him in the Radioactive Man episode, and used real acid. The goggles, they do nothing.
Yeah, Rainier Wolfcastle plays McBain most of the time. Married to Maria Wolfcastle. Austrian.
Yeah, totes not Arnold Schwarzenegger. I wonder if they had to pay Arnold for that.
I don't know, but you know how they, in like some of the episodes, they play clips from the McBain movies?
Uh-huh.
Apparently you can put those all together and it pretty much makes like a working script for a McBain movie.
Of course it fucking does. Jesus. Early Simpsons really was an insanely put together show. Where is the first place that putting a town under a dome came up? Is that like That feels like a Twilight Zone thing, and I know it's just exists. Possibly as long as snow globes have existed.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I don't know what you want to count as like a town under a dome, because you could throw in Truman Show almost as like a town under a dome, but
yeah, although in a completely different kind of warped way. Truman Show was so good. The movie that proved that Jim Carrey can act.
Oh, he's so good.
Oh, God. This is about a movie that we're largely not going to talk about. I will say, Maggie is the best Simpson.
Always has been.
She always has been, and she is the only reason they live through literally any of this.
You brought up the whole thing, like, everything always ends up getting reset, and that's... The dome coming down in general is just one of those things that... Like, I don't know if that even ever gets referenced in Simpsons history now, you know what I mean?
I'm not surprised. It's not unusual for... I mean, that's not even a Simpsons thing. It's not unusual for stuff that happens in a movie of the TV show to not be talked about in the TV show.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it does. Like I said, I haven't kept up super a lot with, like, newer Simpsons, but...
Sometimes they're not even allowed to. Who owned the TV rights and the movie rights for Star Trek was different for, like, 15 years. That you couldn't reference one or the other in the same thing, really, other than, like, the most basic, this is Star Trek.
The dome gets dropped. They can get out. They get out. Obviously, shit ensues.
They go to Alaska.
Homer's an asshole, like, the entire time.
They have a really good gag of the animals coming in to help them, like it's a Disney movie. And then they go to bed together, and the animals all just get really horrified looks as they realize what's going on.
That was pretty good.
It was a throwaway. Everyone other than Homer decides to go back and save Springfield, and there is a legitimately sad moment where Homer gets everything he deserves and his family leaves him.
I think ultimately, when I look at it in a meta way and where this falls into the Simpsons timeline and how they've contributed to treat these characters as the show has went on, that it's an extremely touching moment within the movie. And Homer has to come to this giant realization that, like, he's the problem and he needs to take care of the people that he says he cares about, and all sorts of and says he realizes how he's been acting, and it actually kind of throws the fact that he's been an asshole this entire movie into his face. And then they keep him as kind of an asshole for the rest of the series to date.
Yeah, and he gets fixed a bit in the movie, but he gets forgiven way too quickly for how much he continues to suck. I will say the one part of this movie that doesn't land quite right in 2020 that landed better in 2007 is the Inuit woman who gives him a vision quest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That just kind of, like, cliche tokenization of a culture. And parts of the scene were kind of funny, and it was well done. But it's a lot more noticeable that, like, it's one thing for The Simpsons to make fun of American culture, because it is just peak American culture. It's another thing to make fun of someone else's culture, even if you're trying to do it, like, affectionately.
Mm-hmm.
And it just... I didn't notice it really at the time when I watched it, you know, when I was 18, 19, however old I was when I watched this movie. But watching it now, it was a little jarring.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I kind of had forgotten that had even happened in it. And I was like, oh, shit, that's right. Okay.
Oh, right, that's fucking weird.
I'm like, okay, well, however they get to the sort of surreal things, because I do like when The Simpsons makes use of the fact that it's animation and can have some of those crazy dream / epiphany / drug induced sequences, depending on what episode you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. And this is... I don't know when they fully transitioned from doing hand-drawn animation to CGI. Mm-hmm. Like, all done computer. This is really well done, pretty computer animation.
Yes.
That still looks like a traditionally animated... It doesn't... It's clearly not hand-drawn, but it's not trying to be, like, full 3D Pixar effects.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated it, and I appreciated that they clearly had the budget to do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
Oh my god. On their way back down, when they're going to go save Springfield, Bart on the train.
I'm the lead of
I'm the mascot of an evil corporation.
And then...
And I was watching it on Disney
13
Plus.
years later... Yeah, me too. 12, 13 years later, The Simpsons is now owned by Disney. And I was just like, oh my god, again, Simpsons, this isn't as prescient as, like, that weird one where Lisa takes over as president after Trump.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Or other various predicted things. But it was definitely like, man, there were bits of this that you were tapped into the cultural zeitgeist probably better than you knew.
So the sort of storyline that never really landed for me, because I felt the most like it didn't matter, is the whole Bart and the Flanderses thing. Where do you come down on that?
It started really well. But it was the plot that they ran out of time and just decided to just fuck it.
Yeah.
Because, there were bits when Flanders makes him the Coco and just keeps coming back with more and more stuff. Like, the buildup of that gag was really good. Bart getting affection from Flanders that he wouldn't have had otherwise was really solid. It did kind of drive home The Simpsons has always bordered so much on the cartoon and the realistic that the more abusive elements of Bart and Homer are a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when he drops the fishing pole and Bart's expecting to get choked suddenly, like, and realizes he's not going to, turned that a little less Looney Tunes slapstick and a more fucking horrifying.
Still a little bit of good slapstick in there, though, that he has the same physical reaction even though he's not being choked.
Yes. I'm not just gonna write this off as like, oh, Bart's being abused. I've seen people take that to weird, dark places. Mm-hmm. I recognize what slapstick is. But, I mean, they literally, like, the whole thing is going, and they finish that plot line in a 20-second period out of nowhere. Which is unfortunate, because some of the early bits were good in it.
Well, and they finish it kind of out of nowhere. I do want to say that it is the longest walk for kind of a throwaway joke that I've ever seen, because that entire plot line leads up to when, oh God, I can't remember which one of Flanders' kids says it. It's like, I wish I had a dad like Homer Simpson. I wish you didn't have the devil's curly hair.
That's so fucking right.
Which is like the longest walk to make that joke, where it's like, oh, even Flanders is shitty, but...
I feel like that joke of, like, Flanders becoming the dad had been done somewhere on the show before, because I remember it felt familiar to me.
Oh yeah, there's the episode where he ends up looking after the kids and he's gonna baptize them.
Oh, Jesus.
And at the very end, like, they're down at the river and they're gonna baptize Bart, and Homer has made it down and he refuses to let Flanders baptize Bart, and he manages to do, like, the push the fucking president out of the way, the bullet dive, except he does that to have the fucking drop land on his forehead.
God, this show was weird.
It's touched on a little bit in the movie, and I just touched on it by bringing up that episode. Also notable, especially for the time period, for not being a show to shy away from talking about religion.
Yeah.
Many,
It
many,
was.
many times. I think it still might be the sitcom to bring up religion the most.
I believe it. It was weird to me, and I realized it was a lot more common at the time, and I realized that church is still the thing that a lot of people go to. I have never come from a religious family. I've gone to church maybe 5 times in my life. So, how much that the idea that just everyone in the town just goes to church every week has always been bizarre to me. And that it's not a bad thing, but like, comic book guy goes to church. Obviously, Flanders goes to church. The Doctor goes to church. Cletus goes to church. Who is it? The groundskeeper, Willie?
Mm-hmm.
Goes to church. Like, everyone does. And that was always strange to me that, like, there was never one person in the town that you wouldn't expect to see at the church. Having Granddad be a prophet was kind of a clever move.
That was pretty funny.
This is one of the only times I can think of that they actually show appreciation. I mean, they don't treat him very well still, but they show some appreciation for Granddad. Or Grandpa.
Yeah. This and like the fight in Hellfish.
That's about it. I mean, they do leave him in the car rolled up, but like...
That's true. I don't. There's so many fun things in this episode. I mean, not in this episode, in this movie, but it's still weirdly bittersweet for me because I can. It's so easy for me to notice, especially these days, all the things that had changed from what I had grown up with.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's kind of why I wanted to make you bittersweet. That sounds mean. But it's kind of why I wanted to bring this one up, because I knew it was a thing that you have a lot of attachment for. Because we've done stuff I have a lot of attachment for and have grown up watching. Or that we both have. But I wanted to do something that was a little more your wheelhouse. And we're actually doing a couple of these episodes coming up, so I'm real excited for that. But,
Yeah. This... Like early Simpson, early Groening in general, because like the Life and Hell comics are astounding if you've never gotten a chance to read them.
I have not.
It was all these little drawings and doodles and comics with all these recurring characters that were all sort of pre-Simpsons, even a little bit more punk in some ways than early Simpsons was, and it's just all like life is hell, work is hell, love is hell. And it's just amazing comedy that... Now, I will say I haven't read any of the Life is Hell in years. I would bet it still holds up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even early Futurama is probably some of the best science fiction comedy that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Groening, when he is on point, was really good. He could do funny or sweet or sad.
Well, and the early writing staff on The Simpsons also just had a lot of names that are just phenomenally amazing comedy writers. The big one that always jumps out, there's a ton of people you could name, but like Conan O'Brien was a writer on The Simpsons.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's weird to think about.
For years.
And like Conan's not my favorite, but he's funny.
He's funny.
He knows how to do comedy, TV comedy.
Not just and consistently funny. Has managed to, if nothing else, just continue to grow his career.
Yeah, he's not someone that's like super hit or miss. I don't find his highs as high, but he is. I don't think I've ever watched a Conan like show or interview and been like, well, this is a complete waste of my time.
Mm-hmm. And so once all that changed, which it will inevitably do, especially when a show goes for 30 plus seasons, obviously some of that also goes out the door. So,
But seriously, credit to the voice actors here, because some of them played like 15 characters.
And have forever.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's so impressive.
I know I've always like had a bit of a bias towards like Harry Shearer myself, partially just because he also shows up in This Is Spinal Tap. But
Which one's Harry Shearer?
Burns, Smithers, Ned Flanders, Reverend Lovejoy, President Schwarzenegger, Principal Skinner, Dr. Hibbert,
Wow.
Otto, Kent Brockman, Lenny,
Holy shit.
Scratchy.
That's real impressive. This might be a more topical political than I usually go on this, and this episode's already done that. But the night I watched this and Burns unleashes the dogs on people is the same night that President Trump threatened to unleash the dogs on people, and I almost had to turn the movie off. Like,
Yeah. Simpsons predicting the future isn't always a good thing.
guys, we picked we didn't pick this week, but this was a really weird week of like stuff happening versus what we were watching.
I mean, just to cross over just a little bit for a second, but when I record for my other show in a little bit here, I'm going to have something else that's crossing over directly into the news, and that's going to be super fun to have to talk about as well.
It's okay, we're gonna go talk about the Bay of Pigs, which is a messed up military interaction. Yeah, right? Thanks, 2020.
But wait, since I did point out Harry Shearer, I do want to point out some of the other voice cast.
Okay.
Dan Castellaneta was Homer, Abe Simpson, Krusty the Clown, Groundskeeper Willie, Mayor Quimby, Sideshow Mel, Mr. Teeny, Itchy, and Barney, as well as like Hans Moleman for like the second that he showed up.
I love Mole Man. I don't know why.
Julie Kavner is Marge, Selma Bouvier and Patty Bouvier, her sisters. Mm-hmm. Nancy Cartwright famously does the voice for Bart, Ralph Wiggum, Todd Flanders, Nelson, also does this little for Maggie. Yardley Smith is Lisa, and Hank Azaria, who is all over the place and has been on a number of shows beyond just The Simpsons, is Moe and Chief Wiggum and Cletus and Professor Frink and Apu. At least he was in this movie. He no longer is, but that's a whole other
he just
discussion.
recently retired from doing that.
Comic book guy, Bumblebee Man, Dr. Nick, Dredrick Tatum, all that fun stuff. So,
you know what? I'm just gonna get this out there. I fucking hate the comic book guy. I hate him. And I think a big part of it is, because he's just kind of caricature. I have met comic book guy in real life. Mm-hmm. Like, down to shirt and stomach sticking out and every bad thing. But in, like, high school and college, people kept comparing me to comic book guy. Thinking they were being, like, nice or funny or relating. Because they're like, he likes comics, you likes comics. And I'm like, he's the worst character on that show. What's wrong with, like, why would you think I would like that?
Yeah.
Like, people bought me, like, I don't know, there was a comic book guy, like, book or something that was made, and people are like, oh, I thought of you. And I'm like, please don't.
Please, not like this.
Look, guys, it's 2006. Nerds aren't cool yet. We haven't taken over like we have in 2020.
Oh, no.
Having comics be my personality was not as fun as it kind of is today.
And especially not when that's the face of comic
when
film.
that's the comparison. But sorry. Anyways, you were telling me about amazing voice actors.
No, there's a couple others I could list off, like Tress MacNeille did a few voices and such, but that's definitely the principal cast.
So it sounds like where we're sitting on this
is
fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It has a lot of really good, quick jokes, but it doesn't have, like, the amazing... I didn't go in expecting this, but it doesn't have the really amazing, overarching plot. It doesn't have this... I had forgotten what most of the plot was, other than there was a dome.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good ideas in it. Confronting Homer being an asshole is a good idea. Forcing the Simpsons out of Springfield for a bit is a good idea.
But they also still had bits of, like, as much as they confronted Homer on being an asshole, they also had bits showing why people like Homer. That I understood. There were funny stuff, like him needing to fool a soldier, so he steals a hotel person's uniform and, like, acts like a general and then puts super glue on his hands to climb up the dome. Like, it was weird, ridiculous. Homer was a piece of shit, but there was enough funny things about Homer that I wasn't just spending the whole time being like, God, he's the fucking worst.
Right. Him fishing was a great gag.
That was a good gag.
But, yeah, I don't know. Overall, it's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit better than fine. It's just not stupendous.
If you want to watch The Simpsons without deep diving into, like, early Simpsons and holy crap, 30 seasons is intimidating or whatever, like, where do I start? This is not a bad one. I could have watched this with very little understanding of The Simpsons and enjoyed myself still, I think.
Absolutely. I think I've said most of my piece on The Simpsons at this point.
I think that's it. Like, it's... This is a weird one, because Simpsons is not something I'm devoted to, but I do enjoy this movie. And again, it's the momentary humor of it, but I've said that enough. Any recommendations for this week?
I do, and they're going to tie right into The Simpsons.
Perfect.
As soon as we were going to do a Simpsons episode, I thought of this video. I rewatched it. If you do watch it off of my recommendation, you'll notice some of the things being said are rather similar to what I've said today. It's because I agree 100% with this guy, and we both obviously grew up watching the same Simpsons. Up on YouTube, there's I don't know, a channel, a dude, I don't know how you call it on this YouTube shit. Dude is Super Eye Patch Wolf, does an amazing... He does a couple different videos on The Simpsons, at least two, and those are the two that I'm going to recommend. There might be more. One is The Fall of The Simpsons, How It Happened. 31-minute video essay on basically the entire rise and fall of The Simpsons that tracks way more in depth, like the changes that actually happened in the writing room, actually breaks down the way that jokes used to be written for the show compared to how they're written now. Yet
that might be the episode or the thing Cece was talking about.
He does a really good job, though, of not just shitting on it.
That's important.
It's obvious, probably the same way that it's obvious the way I've talked about The Simpsons today, that there's a preference, but it's more just pointing out how it's changed and maybe getting down a little bit to why it's changed. That was actually put out 2 years ago. 9 months ago, he put out another video, The Bizarre Modern Reality of The Simpsons, which is also an amazing watch, where he sort of talks about the last few years and the memification of The Simpsons and how even as the show has... I believe the show actually still does, like, amazing numbers. Like, it's just that the critical ratings have gone down across the board.
Well, and it's amazing because who the fuck still watches The Simpsons? But obviously people do, because it's 31 seasons.
In this reality where it's still hyper known because of how much it's wedged its way into culture in general, but the show itself seems to be on the decline. This second video really tracks the online life that The Simpsons now have, from everything from like the Homer backing up into the bushes meme to...
I do love that meme.
To Simpsons Wave, with people taking old clips from the show and editing them and distorting them and setting them to like ambient synthwave songs to create these moving music videos. It's awesome. And
That's really
and
strange.
shit like oh god, what is it like? Is it Marge's anime Marge, something like that? I don't know. There's a bunch of really neat things that he covers that I mean, The Simpsons has a whole new life, and some of the shit is stuff that I hadn't even heard of. So, and I live on the internet for the most part. So,
Yeah, that's what we do. That's interesting.
but yeah, that's Super Eye Patch Wolf, The Fall of the Simpsons, How It Happened, and The Bizarre Modern Reality of the Simpsons. Both of them together will take you like an hour. So,
Perfect. That's amazing. All right. I've got 2 quick recommendations, and one is one that I'm actively reading now, so like I don't have a lot on it, but it's just really good. It is Sarah and the Royal Stars from Vault Comics. I have mentioned Vault Comics before. They are a local Missoula-based company. They Vagrant Queen on Sci-Fi Channel, which I think has already been canceled, but I'm not sure, is based off a Vault property. They mostly do science fiction and fantasy comics, and they tend to do a lot of women and characters of color. Sarah and the Royal Stars is a woman-led fantasy comic based off, like, Persian mythology.
okay.
The god Mitra comes up, the Great Bull of Heaven is in it. It's all the stuff that's just crack to me. I have not finished it yet, so I can't go much into details, not that I was going to anyways for a recommendation. But it's very good, and it's very pretty. And then my other recommendation is a little on the other side of the equation. It is a podcast from the Parcast Network called Kingpins. And I may have recommended this before, and I don't remember. It is super trashy, but I love it. It almost always does 2-part episodes about various kingpins. Frank Lucas, Al Capone, crime lords, drug lords, whatever. The first episode is their rise to power. The second episode is their fall. And it is like, do you remember like late night Discovery Channel documentaries from like when we were kids?
Yeah, kinda.
That kind of like super trashy kind of sensationalist documentaries.
Yeah.
It's those in podcast form.
Oh, okay.
Parcast does a bunch of different podcasts. They have conspiracy theories, which makes me sad, and I can't do that one. They've got famous people, they've got ghost stories, they've got what have you. Kingpins is the only one I get really into. And the information is good. They do a whole lot of research. It is all hella scripted, which is very different from us, who we have no scripts, or even the idea of scripts. But it is a fun, trashy way of getting information on stuff that I would not get otherwise. Elliot Ness, the guy who took down Al Capone, or the guy who likes to take a lot of credit for taking down Al Capone.
Right.
It's fun. It's interesting. And it's different than anything else that I listen to, which I appreciate.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Well, if you choose not to listen to any of those, but still want to listen to us, please hit subscribe, however you're listening right now.
I'm sorry. Yes, that's a really great idea. We would love subscriptions. We would love rating and reviews. As we have mentioned, the internet is run on algorithms, and the more that we are out there, the more people interact with us, the more we get put out there. And also, the better we can do, the more we hear from you.
And while we're talking about listening to more of us, maybe we should point out you won't be on the next episode.
No, I will be taking, because as I said, I will be getting married Saturday.
Congratulations.
Thank you, which is 2 days ago for this episode, but I am taking next week off. Yui, my roommate and friend and squire and son.
And friend of the show, because Yui
and
has
friend
been
of
on
the show.
before.
They were our first guest. They were on A Pod Full of Mando. Will be coming on to discuss their utter hatred of Quentin Tarantino, which is fun because we're a podcast about liking things, and the moment we have a guest person, it's about how much something is hated.
So next week will be the quarantine Tarantino-off. As Yui might be coming, just full of all sorts of not like for Tarantino. I, on the other hand, have a tattoo on my body inspired by the Django Unchained poster.
I got home and they were watching Django Unchained and just looked furious at their computer. And I'm like, at least you're watching the good one. And they just went, no.
So this is going to be a
"Wait."
lot of fun.
I am very excited to hear this episode.
Especially because I know that they can just school me on anything that comes up as it actually pertains to film. But I think it's...
And you'll be like, it made me happy.
But I also think it's fun because liking things leads to emotions, and we should recognize all emotions.
Yeah. And we're trying to get Yui going on another podcast project, and I know we have been promising new podcast projects as long as this podcast has been going. But the quarantine has been going for about half the length of this podcast at this point. So, like, we're sorry, guys. We're working on it.
And a lot of us are essential.
Yeah, pretty much all of us.
And it's just been a lot of mental load lately with everything going on.
You know, once the time comes that we can find them on that podcast, you can find them, and, well, you will be able to find them, and in the meantime, find us on our podcast network, Earworm Productions.
That's right.
Earworm Network?
Yeah, whatever.
Earworm.
Earworm. EARVVYRM.com for all of those updates pertaining to shows across the board. That would be us. That would be listening to me talk about horror movies over on Fried Squirms. That would be you and Malark talking about war and wargaming over on The Art of Wargaming. You can follow the links from Earworm to get to more shit just about us, or you can just go to generalnerdcast.com. Got all of our back catalog, keep up with all of our stuff, contact us through there, or by emailing us, generalnerderypod@gmail.com. Or
you can also find us... Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to say you can... Or just search for us on social media. You search for General Nerdery, we're what comes up, so...
Yep. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. I will put up pictures of the amazing Rainbow Jedi outfit that I am making that I mentioned for my wedding.
Yay!
Yeah, it's so good. I'm so excited, guys. I look like Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat. But in the meantime, we really appreciate you listening to us. This is one of my favorite parts of my week. Oh. And it is in a time that is as fucked up as this. I just so appreciate that we get to do these kinds of things.
I very much agree. This has been a giant highlight for my weekend of an interesting time. So, thank you.
In the meantime, I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
Dismissed.